Welcome to our channel, My Paint Explainer. Let's start the video. Love Canal Contamination. The Love Canal contamination refers to a tragic environmental disaster that occurred in the 1940s and 1950s in Niagara Falls, New York. During this time, the Hooker Chemical Company, now known as Occidental Chemical Corporation, disposed of chemical waste by burying it in the Love Canal neighborhood. The company had initially secured permission from the government to dump less harmful waste in the area. However, over time, the site became a dumping ground for a variety of toxic chemicals. In the following years, residents began to experience health issues such as birth defects, miscarriages, and other ailments due to exposure to the buried toxic waste. The area was declared a disaster zone. During the 70s, entire families had to be relocated because of the incident, but it was already too late because over 700 deaths could be traced to the contamination. Chernobyl disaster. The Chernobyl disaster occurred on April 26, 1986, at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine. During a routine test to simulate a power outage scenario, the reactor operators made critical errors that led to a catastrophic chain of events. As the test proceeded, the power levels dropped to dangerously low levels, well below the established safety limits. In violation of safety protocols, operators attempted to stabilize the reactor by disabling key safety systems and reactor controls. As a result of these actions, the reactor's core overheated, leading to a sudden and catastrophic explosion. The explosion ruptured the reactor vessel and blew off the reactor's protective concrete lid, releasing massive amounts of radioactive material into the atmosphere. This radioactive fallout spread over a large area, contaminating land, air, and water, and causing widespread environmental and health consequences. Centralia Mine Fire. The Centralia Mine Fire is a notable environmental disaster that occurred in Centralia, Pennsylvania. In 1962, the town of Centralia was a typical mining community with ordinary residents going about their daily lives. However, a fateful event occurred when some workers were clearing a landfill near an old mine entrance in preparation for Memorial Day festivities. Unaware of the potential consequences, the workers decided to burn the accumulated garbage instead of disposing of it properly. Unfortunately, the fire didn't just consume the surface trash. It found its way deep into the abandoned coal mine beneath the landfill. Since coal is highly flammable, the fire continued to burn, fueled by the coal deposits, for an extended period. Despite efforts to extinguish the fire, it proved to be stubborn and persistent, burning underground for years. The fire caused the ground to become unstable, emitting toxic gases and smoke, and creating dangerous sinkholes. As a result, the residents of Centralia were forced to evacuate, and the town was eventually abandoned. Deepwater oil spill. The Deepwater Horizon oil spill stands as one of the largest environmental disasters in human history. Situated in the Gulf of Mexico, the Deepwater Horizon oil rig was the epicenter of this catastrophic event. In 2010, the rig exploded, triggering a chain reaction of failures that led to severe environmental damage in the surrounding waters. Initially, a cement barrier was intended to seal the oil well, but due to engineering and management shortcomings, its effectiveness was compromised. Concurrently, issues arose with the safety device designed to prevent blowouts. These critical failures, compounded by a series of human errors, culminated in the devastating explosion of the oil rig. The explosion ruptured the wellhead, unleashing millions of gallons of crude oil into the Gulf of Mexico. The spillage spread rapidly, contaminating marine ecosystems, devastating wildlife habitats, and endangering coastal communities. Cuyahoga River Fire. The Cuyahoga River Fire is a notorious event that occurred in Cleveland, Ohio. The Cuyahoga River had become a dumping ground for industrial waste, with corporations disposing of their trash directly into the river due to lax regulations. Oil slicks and other pollutants accumulated, turning the river into a flammable mixture. In 1952, the river's polluted waters ignited, resulting in a fire that caused approximately $1 million in property damage. Despite this incident, little was done to address the underlying pollution issues. Then, in 1969, sparks from a passing train ignited the river once again, turning it into a flaming disaster. The inferno that engulfed the Cuyahoga River burned intensely, fueled by a combination of oil and other pollutants. The event garnered national attention and became a symbol of environmental degradation and the need for stricter environmental regulations. Great Smog of London. The Great Smog of London refers to a severe air pollution event that occurred in December 1952. At that time, London was undergoing rapid industrialization, with factories emitting large amounts of smoke and households burning wood and coal for heating during the post-World War II period. During this particular period, London experienced unusual weather conditions, including windless days and low temperatures. These conditions trapped the air pollutants close to the ground, creating a thick layer of smog over the city. The smog was so dense that it obscured visibility and left a foul smell lingering in the air. The Great Smog of London had significant health impacts, with thousands of people suffering from respiratory issues and other health problems due to prolonged exposure to the polluted air. The event prompted increased awareness of the dangers of air pollution and led to the implementation of stricter air quality regulations in the United Kingdom. Gulf of Mexico. Dead Zone. The Gulf of Mexico. Dead zone refers to an area in the Gulf of Mexico where oxygen levels are so low that marine life cannot survive. This phenomenon is not natural. It is primarily caused by human activities, particularly agricultural practices. The dead zone originates from the runoff of agricultural chemicals, such as fertilizers and pesticides, from farmland into rivers and ultimately into the Gulf of Mexico. These chemicals promote the growth of algae, which in turn depletes oxygen levels in the water as it decomposes. As a result, large swathes of the Gulf become uninhabitable for marine organisms, leading to mass die-offs and disrupting the ecosystem. Efforts to address the Gulf of Mexico dead zone often involve implementing measures to reduce nutrient runoff from agricultural activities, such as better land management practices and the use of more environmentally friendly farming techniques. Exxon Valdez oil spill. The Exxon Valdez oil spill occurred in 1989, when the captain of the Exxon Valdez oil tanker entrusted control of the ship to his inexperienced third mate so he could take a nap. Unfortunately, the ship's collision avoidance system was turned off to save money. As a result, the Exxon Valdez ran aground on a reef in Alaska, spilling over 11 million gallons of oil into Prince William Sound. This incident, which could have been avoided with better decision-making and adherence to safety protocols, resulted in one of the most devastating environmental disasters in history. The oil spill had catastrophic effects on the marine ecosystem, wildlife, and local communities, causing extensive damage that persisted for years. The Exxon Valdez oil spill serves as a poignant reminder of the importance of stringent safety measures, responsible environmental stewardship, and the need to prioritize environmental protection over cost-cutting measures in industrial operations. Company spent $2 billion to clean up the mess, and additional $1 billion was spent to settle any civil and criminal charges. Bhopal gas tragedy. The Bhopal gas tragedy occurred on a fateful night in December 1984 in Bhopal, India. A pesticide plant owned by Union Carbide leaked deadly methyl isocyanate gas, a highly toxic substance commonly used in industrial processes, but notorious for its harmful health and environmental effects. The incident was the result of a combination of factors, including poor equipment maintenance, negligence, and cost-cutting measures. The plant had outdated technology and inadequate safety measures in place. Additionally, the workers were poorly trained and often neglected safety protocols. The release of methyl isocyanate gas led to a catastrophic disaster, causing thousands of deaths and leaving many more injured or suffering from long-term health effects. The Bhopal gas tragedy remains one of the world's worst industrial disasters, serving as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of industrial negligence and the importance of stringent safety regulations to protect human lives and the environment. 3 Mile Island Accident. The 3 Mile Island accident occurred at the 3 Mile Island Nuclear Generating Station in Pennsylvania, USA in 1979. It was one of the earliest nuclear power plants in America. The accident was triggered by a malfunction in the plant's cooling system, causing the reactor to overheat. A valve that was supposed to regulate coolant flow became stuck open, leading to the leakage of coolant and exacerbating the situation. Unfortunately, the operators at the plant underestimated the severity of the problem and made several incorrect decisions in their attempts to rectify it. The operators believed they had the situation under control, but by the time they realized the extent of the damage, it was too late. The 3 Mile Island accident resulted in a partial meltdown of the reactor core, causing widespread fear and concern about the safety of nuclear power. Although the accident led to increased scrutiny and safety measures in the nuclear industry, it also highlighted the potential risks associated with nuclear power generation and the importance of stringent safety protocols to prevent similar incidents in the future. Minamata disease disaster. The Minamata disease disaster occurred in the 1960s and 1970s in Japan, when a chemical company dumped methylmercury into Minamata Bay. This toxic substance contaminated the fish in the bay, which were a staple food source for the local population. Initially, when people started getting sick, the symptoms were dismissed as a simple case of the flu. However, it soon became evident that something more serious was happening. The illness caused by methylmercury poisoning affected the nervous system, leading to symptoms such as numbness, convulsions, and even insanity. The disease came to be known as Minamata disease, and it afflicted thousands of people in the area.